Tennessee's wild side, broadcast for nearly 2 decades, was originally created through a vision of the Jackson Foundation. The foundation remains a supportive partner in the mission to educate viewers about wildlife, natural resources, and opportunities for outdoor adventure. Tennessee's Wild Side is produced in association with Rockwater TV.
Hi friends, welcome to the Wild Side. I'm Steve Hall. Beautiful scenery, hiking adventures, possible sightings of animal wildlife, and discovery of unique plants, all natural trademarks for traveling across Tennessee. You can find every one of them on the Cumberland Plateau, where there are multiple choices of places people are welcome to explore. Sherwood Forest is connected to South Cumberland State Park and is the newest Tennessee State Natural Area. You can search high and low around the rocky terrain and colorful landscape of the Sherwood Forest State Natural Area and never see any sign of Robin Hood or his merry men. But for Ranger Jason Reynolds, it's what you don't hear that makes the biggest impression.
From my perspective, and I work all over the park of South Cumberland, but whenever I come to this location, I get a sense of peace. It's usually less hectic than the other parts of the park. And part of that is because it's not well known yet. But still, there's just something about it. Occasionally you'll hear the train in the background, but other than that, you don't hear highway, you don't hear road noise. It's just a very peaceful place.
Like much of the Cumberland Plateau, the natural architecture is what gives this landscape its beauty, but its ruggedness demands respect.
It's very rugged in places, and generally we don't allow off-trail hiking because of the natural dangers that are around. We've been developing a trail system. The trail provides a safe way for you and me to really enjoy the nature of the place. Folks can hike, can bird watch, take pictures. What we have so far on the Sherwood Forest Day Loop, the trail is fairly easy to hike, so almost anybody can hike along the trail, and there's a couple of really nice overlooks that allow a glimpse of the plateau in its form. So some of these overlooks, you see the flat nature of the plateau with these cut canyons that look out 60, 70 miles, and it really gives you a better view of where we are in the landscape.
This state natural area does not get its name from the Sherwood Forest in England.
The Sherwood Forest got its name from the town of Sherwood, which is just down the plateau behind me.
So this is not the sheriff of Nottingham, but is the lieutenant governor of Minnesota during the Civil War. Charles D. Sherwood founded the community here in 1878. Just 4 years later, the Gager Lime Manufacturing Company was established.
There is no Sherwood without the context of the Gager mine, and now it's operating as a quarry. But that history of Sherwood is so much wrapped around the history of the Gager mine. This was at one time an absolutely booming community, and I hate that I missed those years.
From the ruins that still stand, the company clearly modeled its castle-style design from medieval times, when the fictional Robin Hood was busy stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. In this case, the land is rich with real-world limestone deposits.
I actually went into one of the portals on foot, and it is amazing to be in this cathedral of an inactive, deep limestone mine, to see how high these columns are and know that there were people from the Sherwood community that used to ascend to the roof as pickers to pry limestone off, bit by bit by bit. I'm always in awe of that.
It's those huge limestone deposits that make Sherwood Forest an ideal habitat for an endangered creature. Zoologist David Withers has been researching and protecting a rare land snail here for 2 decades.
In the scientific parlance, Anguispira picta, or the painted disc, or the painted snake-coiled forest snail. At the end of a couple years of surveying, turns out the snail, this is our only federally threatened land snail, that it ranged over roughly 10 linear miles of the plateau escarpment here, but all within the Sherwood community in the upper Crow Creek Valley.
There are different species of plants and animals that live here than anywhere else in the plateau, or really anywhere else in the world. That really is the main reason why this whole natural area came to be, was protection of the endangered snail.
Well, this particular limestone is so pure and easily dissolved. A whole raft of land snails have evolved here to take advantage of all that calcium carbonate. Well, Anguispira picta is adapted not just to enjoy the different plants that grow on that limestone as a food source, it also uses fissures in these outcrops to get away from predators.
He's referring to its natural predators, like wild turkeys.
One of the reasons it was listed back in the 1980s as federally threatened was a potential that people were going to collect them, because they are one of our most beautiful land snails in the state, period. But it's of no value to do that. You really need to come here and be guided by someone who knows them to get to see them. But come in the spring, definitely want to come during the wetter months.
But the painted snake-coiled forest snail is not the only animal that makes this land special. One of them awakens the olfactory senses.
Other types of wildlife that we have are spotted skunks, which are only the size of a squirrel, maybe a little bigger. I haven't seen one in real life, but we were baiting for them to try to see if they were on the premises. So we baited some trail cams with sardine cans, and that called in the critters, and the spotted skunk being one of them. Although I haven't smelled one, I hear they're more smelly than striped skunks.
There's also a botanist along on this hike, so frequent stops are part of the tour. Todd Crabtree has great appreciation for the wild plants that find friendly soil and tree bark here.
It's a leafy liverwort, and there's really no common names for these obscure plants, but this one is in the genus Frulania.
Much of what you see in Sherwood Forest is common on the Cumberland Plateau, but at least 7 plants growing here are considered rare.
One of which is federally listed, the Moorfields leather flower. It's really pretty, but not many people see it or know about it because it's in such remote, steep, difficult to get to areas. The more sites we have protected, the closer we get to recovery, and that means removing it from the federal list.
So it's the rare wildlife, particularly the land snail, that made the preservation of this land possible. But it's also people who love outdoor adventure who get the benefits in a beautiful, barely touched wilderness.
This is a new trail, and there's a whole story with the trail and how that came to be. It wasn't just State Park coming out and building trails. It was a whole community effort. Our division normally doesn't do that, but we came out a few times and helped build this trail. So that's another place to alleviate some of that recreational pressure and get people a new place to enjoy. It has a wilderness feel, but it's really not. It's just, there's so much protected land around here that what you see is natural.
It's worth noting that David Withers has been honored with the Environmental Champion Award from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for his work in preserving that threatened population of limestone-loving invertebrates. And we want to express our appreciation for the wonderful drone footage in our story shot by Murray Geesling, part of the team at the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, and also an airplane pilot.
Tennessee's Wild Side has been a presentation of the Jackson Foundation in association with Rockwater TV.